Now, before I go on to looking at that here, I want to talk about the difference between having a single definition relationship and having a split definition relationship. The single definition relationship, by its very nature, has opportunities the split does not have. In other words, in the single definition relationship, all of the information that's part of the composite gets to interact with all the other information. Now, that doesn't mean it's a better relationship. Remember, I'm not talking about quality. I'm just talking mechanically. Mechanically, everything in that relationship is integrated. Now, again, it doesn't mean it's integrated successfully, and it doesn't mean that it's integrated harmonically or in resonance. But it does mean that all of those different aspects are hooked up to each other. That's an advantage. You're not going to find, as you do in the individual, when you look at the individual chart, you're overwhelmed by the number of splits. You know, when you look at the partnership chart, you're overwhelmed by the number of single definitions. In other words, it is a basic direction of us genetically to find what's different, and in finding what's different, find what manifests. In other words, to come together to be a single dynamic force. So that tells you that when couples come together and there is a split definition, that there is something that is lacking in the dynamism. And what's lacking is there's a barrier at a certain point in how they can integrate each other into the whole. You can see that here very clearly in this split definition that is locked at the throat. Now think about what that really means in practical application. In the practicality of this relationship, here is a couple. Remember that they have connections here. That is we saw that Charles is from the ajna to the throat, and Diana is from the head to the ajna, and together they form this full mental process, but locked at the throat. And of course, Charles defines the throat in that connection. You can see that everything they discuss at the mental plane doesn't necessarily ever turn into action. Now think about what that means if you're a couple. You know, you're talking about all these things and you're making plans as couples do, and you talk about this and you talk about that and nothing happens. That's frustrating. The other thing is that a single definition relationship that we had in the 9-0 of Rainier and Grace was a manifesting, that is a manifesting generator design. Here we have a pure generator relationship, an emotional generator relationship that's cut off from the throat. This is not a manifesting